We've all been there, right? You're staring at a screen, furiously typing in all caps to a customer service chatbot, knowing full well it has zero feelings to hurt. Well, you're definitely not alone. It's a classic modern frustration, and today we're going to dig into the science of why we get so unbelievably mad at these machines.
So, let's just set the scene with something that's frankly a bit of a nightmare. Picture this. You've just landed from a long flight. You're tired, you're ready to go, but your luggage is nowhere to be found. It's just gone. And your only hope, your only lifeline to the airline is a little chat window. What happens next? Well, that's exactly what we set out to understand.
All right, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to start with the problem itself, that rage against the machine. Then we'll walk you through exactly how we studied it, dive into what we found about who gets the blame, how that changes our emotions, and then land on a pretty fascinating potential solution.
You know, we all kind of feel it in our gut, right? When a service fails, our reaction is just different if we're dealing with an AI versus a human. We wanted to get past the anecdotes and actually investigate scientifically why these interactions can go so sideways.
Now, to get real answers, we knew we couldn't just ask people how they felt. That wouldn't cut it. We needed to see their reactions in the moment. So we designed a whole series of controlled experiments to really pinpoint what's going on inside our heads when a chatbot lets us down.
And this wasn't a small thing. Our investigation was pretty thorough. We ran 3 separate studies, each one building on the last. The first 2 were with participants in France, and for the third, we used a representative sample from the United States. This gave us a really solid cross-cultural foundation for everything we found.
So for every single person in our studies, we used that exact same high-stress scenario. Your luggage is lost. Participants were then told they were talking to either a real human agent or a chatbot. And here's the key part. In every case, the agent failed to solve their problem. That consistency was absolutely crucial. After the interaction, we measured everything. Who they blamed, how they felt, the whole 9 yards.
And that brings us to our first huge question. When everything goes wrong, who do we point the finger at? Does the blame land on the agent right in front of us, or does it go somewhere else entirely?
Well, what we found was, honestly, night and day. When the agent was a person, a human being, participants put the blame for the failure squarely on them. But when it was a chatbot, the bot itself basically got a free pass, almost no blame at all.
So, if we're not blaming the chatbot, where does all that negativity go? It has to go somewhere, right? Turns out, it gets rerouted. It leapfrogs right over the bot and lands directly on the company that put the bot there in the first place. The company ends up taking all the heat.
Now, this whole blame game does more than just point fingers. It actually shapes what we feel. It turns out, who we blame fundamentally changes our emotional response. It's not just a case of being mad. It's way more nuanced than that.
Think of it like 2 completely different roads of negative emotion. When a human fails us, we blame them, and the emotion we feel is anger. It's personal. It's directed at that individual. But when a chatbot fails, we blame the company, and the emotion we feel is this deep frustration. It's that feeling of being totally powerless, stuck in a cold, impersonal system you can't reason with.
Okay, so that's the problem. And that discovery led us to what I think is the most exciting part of our research. If we understand the why, can we actually design a solution? Could we change how people react to a failing chatbot just by changing how it looks and feels?
It all comes down to this key psychological concept called intentionality. Basically, we only hold someone or something responsible if we believe they have a mind, if we think they can form intentions and have goals. You know, a rock can't intend to trip you. And, as it turns out, we see most chatbots in pretty much the same way.
And that is the absolute key. We don't blame the bot because we don't think it meant to fail us. In our minds, it's just a tool that's broken. This realization just sparked this huge question for our next experiments. What if we could design a chatbot that people felt had more of a mind?
The technique we decided to test is called anthropomorphism. It's a fancy word for a really simple, powerful idea, making non-human things seem more human. This can mean giving a bot a name, a personality, or, in our case, something as simple as a human-like face.
And the results here were just
Wow, they were striking. In our third study, we found that just by giving the chatbot a human avatar instead of a generic robot icon, the amount of blame that landed on the company dropped significantly. That tiny visual change made a massive psychological difference.
But it gets even better. The benefits didn't just stop at shifting blame. The more human-like bot actually helped people cope with the stressful situation more constructively. We saw they were more likely to engage in what we call problem-focused coping, so actually trying to find other solutions. And they showed better emotion-focused coping, meaning they could manage their feelings and keep a cooler head.
So let's bring all of this home. What does this really mean for our increasingly automated world? What's the big takeaway here?
We summed it up in our research paper like this. The design of a chatbot isn't just window dressing, it's a critical tool. It can either pour fuel on the fire of customer frustration, or it can be the thing that helps guide someone through a really difficult moment.
So the lesson here is really twofold. For companies, it means that thoughtful AI design isn't just a nice to have, it's a core business strategy to protect your brand. And for us as customers, just understanding why we get so frustrated is the first step toward navigating these interactions a little more smoothly.
And all of this leaves us with a final fascinating question to chew on. Our work shows that something as simple as a human face can start to change our entire psychological response. So as these AI systems get more and more sophisticated, more and more human-like, how will our relationship with them change? Will we start to hold them responsible, forgive them, maybe even get angry at them, just like we would any other person? That's the future we're all stepping into.